Drop it on the random.
What up, y'all? Welcome to another edition of That Time in Hip Hop, a podcast or video show about hip hop, but more about the history and the nostalgia and the facts that come from hip hop history, whether it be about an album, an artist, an event, whatever it may be. I am your host, Vegas of Hip Hop Now Podcast. With me, the homie Tony of IntoTheDome.com. What's good, man?
Hey man, everything good. Drinking some water tonight, man. Had a beer earlier. Try to balance this life thing out a little bit.
Got to. Yo, and if you're watching for the very first time, man, we got at least 45 of these joints. It's been I don't even know when we started, Tone, to be honest, to even say it's an anniversary or anything like that. But I know we either passed it or we heading towards it. I don't know. But if you're watching, there's plenty of episodes there that you could go back to and be taken back to albums like Only Built for Cuban Links, taken back to the moments like when Rockefeller Records broke up, when Jay and Dame broke up, or even learn about a Master P or the longevity of someone like Too Short. We've covered everything from artists, moguls, film, even hip-hop soundtracks. So if you love what you're hearing, then you might want to hit that subscribe button. And what's probably more important than just sharing is, and this is something I learned recently, is hitting that like button. Because now the way things are with YouTube and in general for content creators, having subscribers is cool, but you need that engagement. And that engagement means you guys like the show enough to not only subscribe, but to say, I like that episode by hitting the like button. I mean, if you want to hit the thumbs down, hey, we're not hating. Like, do whatever you do. Right. But commenting and bringing people into the conversation and sharing it with people. That type of engagement, all of those little things that's on your phone screen or on your computer that you can interact with, says something about us in this program. So it's important that you do so. It's not just us. We don't get a dime from doing this. This is a passion project. You know what I'm saying? Both of us are working men. He coming from work. I'm coming from work. And we taking the time out to do this for y'all. And mainly because we love it also. So do what you do. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and most importantly, share with people enjoy this kind of content. Now, we're going to get into the part of the show where we like to do a thing called This Week in Hip Hop. And This Week in Hip Hop on September 23rd, September 23rd, 2003, Outkast dropped Speaker Box and The Love Below. Double album, but solo albums, but still Outkast. Tone, Speaker Box, The Love Below. When you first heard about it, when you first heard the singles, you first heard the album, man, what was your thoughts?
Well, when I first heard the rumors of a new Outkast album, of course, I'm very excited because, of course, you've had at that time several classic albums. I mean, they probably started off as strong as you can start off in any genre of music. You had Southern Playalistic, ATLians, you had Aquemini. That's arguably three classics or great albums back to back. He had Stank On It, which some people think was an amazing album. You know what I mean? So me hearing about a new Outkast album, I mean, expectations was sky high. I expected nothing less than something classic. Then I heard it was a double CD. And then I'm like, okay, so this is about to really, really, really be insane. Then I heard rumors about one disc was going to be Big Boy and one disc going to be Andre. And that's when everyone's saying, okay, I'm getting an Andre 3000 solo album in the midst of a double CD. So yeah, I just think that alone almost made anticipation too much. But nevertheless, man, I heard the singles. You hear that. I like the way you move, and then you see the video, and it's playing on the radio and the clubs. Big Boy got him one. You know what I'm saying? And You know, it was dope. It fit Big Boy style as the player, the Southern player. It was perfect. Video was dope. Everything. I mean, people doing the dances in clubs and competitions. It was like that. Yeah, Andre 3000 does this Hey Ya, and I'm like, well, I expected something different, but at the same time, thinking about AT Aliens, he was already going left field anyway, and he channeled into some 50s and 60s, you know, American bandstand type of thing, and
Yeah.
it worked, man. And I didn't love it at first, and I grew to enjoy it, man. And I'll get into more details in a minute, man. But you know, once I heard the album, I mean, it's not what I expected, but it was creative. They both got a chance, I guess, to be themselves on each separate disc, and you know, they got a chance to go into their creative juices. And Big Boy had his playlistic all the way through, and you know, and Andre had it very eclectic. Lenny Kravitz / Prince / you know, whatever the case may be going on. I mean, and you know, 10 million albums later, it worked, man. But what did you think about it when you first heard the rumors about a double CD from Outkast?
When I first, well, I was hosting. I feel like I always say this, but I was hosting Strictly Hip Hop in Baltimore. And I remember when the single came out, and I remember one of the DJs telling me like, "Yo, I got this Outkast song, but this shit is kind of crazy." So I'm thinking like, well, I mean, they kind of, you know, the AT Aliens, and you know, they kind of go for a different sound anyway. So whatever. And the song was Ghetto Music. And I remember as soon as he hit play on it, I was like, yo, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I kind of loved it instantly, and mainly that was coming from me just being an overall music fan anyway. So I wasn't like really torn apart because it wasn't hip hop the way I know it, or it wasn't exactly like what I had heard from them. It was just that I just love the fact that they do stuff different. I mean, their name is Outkast.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I didn't mind. I remember though saying to myself, because we had it really early. Like this is before they had any videos out, nothing like that. And I was thinking my thing was always to try to play them exclusives to get ahead of my competition. And I remember I was like, man, and look, for those who don't know, the program Strictly Hip Hop in Baltimore is straight up hip hop, like boom bap, mostly hip hop, like that style, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of, you know, playing ghetto music for that audience was like a no-no, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I said to myself, I'm like, well, it's Outkast, and people should know that they just do different things sometimes, and we just gonna play it for the sake of exclusivity. And I remember, man, people was not feeling it because it was the first thing you heard from this new album. But then when I learned, you know, like, oh, it's going to be, you know, basically solo albums, but a group album put together in a double album. And I think I remember hearing Big Boy talking about explaining it, basically saying, you know, Andre's going to do what he does. And I kind of figured that would be experimental when he said that. Right. And he said, you know, and I'm going to kind of do the player, what you call it. And I was like, yo, that would kind of be dope to have, you know, almost like have Southern playalistic and then have an extreme version of what Outkast has done that wasn't in that same style. Yeah. And I just remember, man, when like you said, when Hey Ya came out, that's when I was really like, yo, what is going on? Because I already heard the techno joint Ghetto Music.
Right.
And that Hey Ya is his 50s record. But then when I heard I Like the Way You Move, I'm like, oh, I see what they doing. They just being creative. So I was excited for the album. I mean, I got it day one when it came out, man. So I was excited just because it was just so different. So I didn't know what to expect. And I think that's what got me most excited about it.
Yeah, man. You know, they after you did, you know, complete 4 albums in such a creative manner like they did before the Speaking Box Love Below, I guess you're just pushing your creative juices to say, you know, how can I push the level a notch further? Because I mean, at that time, they're the apex of their power. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, they didn't want to do what they've done already. They show they can spit. They show they can do spiritual joints. You know what I'm saying? They show on equipment how they can even battle rap or go hard like y'all scared. I mean, they did everything. You know, Stank on you. They had the bombs of a Baghdad. I guess it's just one of the things where Outkast is a group that literally touched every style of hip hop and incorporated other types of music in it. So, you know, in retrospect, I can't really be mad at it. I guess I did expect Andre 3000's album to kind of be like Mos Def's Black on Both Sides, where you know, where he's rhyming songs and he's doing some singing and he's doing, you know, like the Umi says, like Mos Def did, you know, and stuff like that. I expected that. Did I expect more rhyming? But you know, really, Andre really only rapped on like 2 or 3 songs, and on those they were just a verse. You know, if I'm not mistaken. Now the last track was that Day in the Life of Andre Benjamin. You know, now that was like, okay, if I got 10 tracks like this, about something special, because he's talking about their way into the game, even up to him meeting Erykah Badu. I mean, it's a real dope song where he pretty much flowed for 5 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. So that's what I expected. But at the same time, you know, they get props for creativity. Big Boy even had Jay-Z and Killer Mike on the track on his album, on his disc, and you know, history in the making. They got critically acclaimed. It sold as much as any hip hop records ever sold. It's on the same level with the Biggie Life After Death and a few Eminem albums. So, yeah, you know, big up to Outkast. I mean, it's a dope album overall. It's not traditional hip hop, so anyone who hasn't heard it, you know, don't go back thinking you're gonna hear Quamina and some Lizard and Elevators and nothing like that. But I did want to say one thing real quick. What's very impressive also is, and this is what Big Boy and Andre started doing on ATL, is when they actually produced Elevators themselves, not Organized Noise. Well, anyone who looks at the credits for Speaker Box Little Below, they both produced their own albums. You know what I'm saying? Wow. And Andre produced like 2 songs on Big Boys, and he produced his entire album. You know what I'm saying? They made their own beats and everything. I mean, you know, really impressive when you think about what they did with that double CD, something that has never been done in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, it's legendary when you look at what they did and what they accomplished with it, man. So, yeah, big up to Outkast, man. You know, another historical moment for possibly the greatest hip hop group of all time.
Yeah, and I think that's what people need to take note. Like, you know, they did it differently every time, man, and it was always creative and it was always potent. And to know that they basically, you know, produced this album, this double CD, which was essentially almost like their last album, or their last official album, I should say. It's just amazing, man. It's a testament to the group. I think in some ways that yearning for a new album kind of leaves a lot to be desired, because we didn't know they were going out for the most part, you know what I'm saying, as a group. So it was like almost unceremoniously, because we were just looking for what was next. But nevertheless, man, if you haven't heard Speaker Box Love Below, check it out. It's a music fan's dream. If you like To Pimp a Butterfly, which Andre 3000 played a role in, this is the blueprint. You know what I'm saying? You talk about different sounds and musicians and just taking the culture of Black music from different genres and just meshing it all together. Outkast did that with this album, with this double CD. It's definitely worth your time, man. But what did you think about Speaker Box and Love Below? What do you think about Outkast, greatest group of all time? Do you think there will ever be another Outkast album? Leave your comments in the comment section below. We definitely respond to everything we see down there. But now we're going to get into something even more creative and unpredictable. This show is about the man, the myth, the legend, Tone. Tell the people what we here to talk about, man.
You know, man, it's just so many thoughts going on in my head right now. Because you know what, in music, you know, creative people are often misunderstood, man. You know, you think about the first time you saw Prince, the first time you saw Rick James, and even a Missy Elliott type. You're like, okay, I'm trying to dig it. Definitely different, but I definitely see the talent there. But you know, so for some people, it's instant like wow moment, and sometimes people grow on you. You know what I'm saying? And tonight we're talking about Old Dirty Bastard, Russell Jones, a son. You know what I'm saying? And thinking about his just creativity, character, and everything, man, is something that hip hop has never seen. And when I first saw him, me personally, just real quick, on Protect Your Neck, you know, obviously you got 7, 8 people around on the song, and they all are dope. But it was something about the way he came on, man, that, you know, I went back and watched the video last night, and I was like, you know, it really was just different with his melody, you know, his rhyming / singing, still with aggression and harmony at the same time. I'd never seen nothing like it before, man. And you know, he's like, first things first, man. You effing with the worst. You know, I mean, putting things in your head like a nurse, and it's just like he just spitting some stuff, but the energy and style and flavor is what kind of reminded me later when I saw like Missy Elliott, I Can't Stand the Rain or something like that. It's just the flavor that he brought to the song, and you know, everyone had their own style, but he stood out, man. And you know, I said, I'm gonna keep him on my radar, you know what I'm saying? But kind of going back to my initial statement, you know, when you see something new like this, you kind of don't know how to take it, you know what I'm saying? And going into 36 Chambers and hearing him actually rhyme, he actually, you know, was an MC also. You know, I don't, you know, even though some people might thought he was clowning around, I think actually he took the genre serious. I think he was serious in the way he constructed his verses and his albums, you know what I'm saying? But he was so colorful, some people might have thought he was kind of clowning around because, you know, of course he did have times where he was intoxicated when he was doing this thing. But I just think that's the way he pulled his juices, his creative juice, and let it flow. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, my first time hearing him, man, again, it left me like, well, you know what? I'm gonna keep a look on out of him when the 36 Chambers drop. And I know we'll go into some other details, man, but your first experience with ODB, what did you think, man? And did you think that he would have a career outside of the group at first? Did you think that it would turn out the way it did? You know what I'm saying? With his songs and the album? What's your thoughts?
Like when I first saw it, I saw the Protect Your Neck video, and like I felt that way about the group. Like I thought the song was dope, but I didn't think the group was going to be anything huge because you know, like I know, like back in the early '90s, there was a lot of dope acts out, whether they were solo or group or whatever, and you would see a video and dudes would be dope, and you'd be like, damn, the album never came out, or you know what I'm saying, or they had that one album or those couple of songs, but they kind of floated away. So I wasn't really putting much stock into the group until they had the Method Man song, and I was like, oh, that's two. You know what I'm saying? But when I saw Protect Your Neck video, I remember first I was thinking like, damn, this is a lot of dudes in this group. You know what I'm saying?
How's that gonna work, right?
Yeah, like how's that gonna work? And when ODB got on the screen, the first thing that caught me off guard was like I thought he was like an old man for real because his hair was all crazy. He was like his movements was crazy. Then it said old bastard on the screen, and I was like, what? Because there was nothing like him, you know what I'm saying? Like ever in hip hop. So I couldn't tell, like, because usually you think about like Puff signing Biggie, right? And the whole thing with Biggie and why he was signed mainly was, okay, he's not marketable. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the way things used to be in the record business. You had to be marketable in some way, meaning you probably had to be handsome or you had to be beautiful or whatever, or desirable physically.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So people like Biggie would have never got signed if somebody like Puff didn't take a chance and say that doesn't matter. So it's the same thing with ODB. When I saw him, you're not used to seeing dudes like him performing. You know what I'm saying? Like, why is he rapping? So I think the rhymes, the style, it had me interested. And once the album came out, the debut album, Wu-Tang joint came out, I think he started growing me more and more, especially when we heard that skit where they say, where Method Man was like, yeah, we call him the old dirty bastard because there's no father to his style. Right. I just thought that was ill because that just kind of gave him a credibility as far as his performance that was like, okay, now that explains all of it. You know what I'm saying?
And it also, Method Man saying that also, like you said, it set us up to expect the unexpected. You know, because now we're saying ain't no fathers in this style, so don't expect the typical 16 bars and I'm out. You know what I'm saying? You expect something different, and that's what he did throughout 36 Chambers. Whenever it was his turn to rhyme, you know what I'm saying? He definitely came on with it. He's almost like the Bobby Brown of Wu-Tang. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, you know, he's going to be exciting on stage. He's going to do some theatrics that, you know, Method Man would jump in the crowd and do his thing, but, you know, the old drunken monk style, you know, ODB going to do something different, and he's like that crowd pleaser, you know what I mean? Like the Bobby Brown thing. So, you know.
Yeah, look, Tone, like to what you just said, how about like sometimes when you will watch Old Dirty performing on stage, the nigga would just pause like this and stay that way for mad long. He wouldn't rap, he wouldn't move. And people loved it because, like you said, you love it because he's unpredictable and you almost expect it, but you don't know what to expect.
You know what? He's like, you know, the funny thing, he's like your funny cousin or your drunk uncle who comes to the cookout, and then you know, all the kids over there playing with him because he telling funny little stories, and everybody like, man, you know, Uncle Charles on his way over to the cookout, man. So just get laugh your guts out, you know, because you know ODB would be in front of 10,000 people and be like, "Baby, come on," you know what I'm saying? Like, like people would just start laughing, and then you already you synced in now. You tuned in to him, and then he might go into a freestyle and wild out this rhyme about something crazy. Of course, no follow to his style. Or he might, you know, really spit in rhymes. Like, you know, you can go on YouTube and see him rhyming with Busta Rhymes in a cypher. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, or you see him on that song with Sauce Money and Jay-Z and all of them back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Right after 36 was dropped. So, I mean, he really will rap for you. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you know, I think that certain artists being regular is boring. You know what I'm saying? So for someone like ODB, just rhyming is not going to be enough because ODB was a big fan of Motown and a lot of R&B and soul singers and stuff like that. So that's why, you know what I'm saying, sometimes he would dance on stage. He would put the little melodies in his joint because he was so influenced by the whole Motown movement and things of that nature. So you kind of got someone who was somewhat of a historian, but a wild child at the same time. He's trying to blend all of this stuff in one, and that's why you get this big bundle of fun and controversy, and we'll get all into his life and everything like that. But you know, you get so much. But I think sometimes when you're real talented and creative, you can go into overload. You know what I'm saying? And then regular day-to-day life, you know what I'm saying, is not either one challenging enough or exciting enough, and then you supplement that with a lot of odd behavior, and we'll talk about some of that and how that can matriculate into your music and even stifle your career and life, man. You know what I'm saying? So I think that his energy is almost like the Tupac thing. He gave so much. How long can you give that much? You know what I'm saying? Like, how much of life can you give to a point where you literally burn out? You know what I'm saying? And I think that, you know, that's kind of what we saw with ODB, man. But going into his solo album and things of that nature, what was your thoughts?
I remember when they announced it, that it would be called Return to the 36 Chambers. And I remember, I think I was reading an article in a source or whatever, and and I was thinking this, but the writer or whoever was in the interview was like, you know, that sounds like a sequel to the group album. Like, you know, why would you call your solo that? And he, you know, he explained it away some kind of way or whatever, that when you listen to the album, you don't really get it. But I was just like, okay, well, I didn't know what to expect because it's like, you know, there's no father to his style. Sure, he sounds great, you know, on a song with these other guys because he brings something different. but can I listen to a whole album of this dude? And I remember when I heard Brooklyn Zoo, man, I was just like, okay, maybe Old Dirty can hold down an album. But there was one song, so I was like, and I already had the experience with Tikal, where I heard Bring the Pain, and I was like, this is gonna be the greatest rap album of all time. And it was not. But when I heard Shimmy Shimmy Y'all, I was like, this dude done got a club banger. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was just,
it was a banger.
I bought it. Yeah, I bought it day one, man, because it was kind of like, it's similar to how we talked about Outkast. You didn't know what you were going to get, but you knew that, RZA was on the production. You knew ODB was going to do something with the verses. You know what I'm saying? And I just remember, like, between Brooklyn Zoo and Shimmy Shimmy Y'all, I remember I bought the single and I was like listening to it every day until the album came out. And that album intro, it just settles you on what the experience is gonna be. You know what I'm saying? This dude is playing an announcer, he crying, he's singing, he's doing all of this before he get to Shimmy Shimmy Y'all. And I just thought it was like a wonderful, different variety to bring the hip hop that we hadn't had, especially at that time.
Yeah, man, no doubt. So the brilliant thing about what Wu-Tang was doing with Loud Records, if I'm not mistaken, is just everyone having their solo ventures, man. And unlike some people, when I heard Tikal after 36 Tame, I thought it was dope. So I was looking forward to all of the solo albums. You know what I'm saying? So when I heard the Brooklyn Zoo, like you, I was like, okay, first of all, the beat bang is very hard. You know what I'm saying? Then I'm watching BT Rap City and I see the video and there he go. He giving you that flavor. And Method Man was featured on the video with him. And they did the whole video in the hallway, in the project hallway. You know what I'm saying? And it was just aggressive. It was fit that style of hip hop at the time, dirty. You know what I'm saying? RZA was dirtier with it, you know what I'm saying? And so now you got a street banger. But then when Shimmy came out, you had a club banger. And when it came on the clubs, I'm in college at the time. It's ooh baby, I like it raw. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was so catchy.
Yeah.
That if you say that right now to anybody in our age group, if you say ooh baby, I like it raw, they know. The person knows exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Exactly. If I go on Twitter tonight and just put ooh baby, I like it raw, everybody who know I like hip hop, they're gonna be like, that's ODB.
Yeah.
And so they got a street banger, club banger, you know what I'm saying? The album had dope production, you know what I'm saying? It was a gold album. He had other songs, he had certain songs where he was real melodic and stuff, but he had songs where he was rhyming.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And quite few of the other Wu-Tang members were featured on quite a few songs. And he was doing what he do. He was rhyming with them. You know what I'm saying? And he's always dope on his hooks and everything like that. His flow and his style and energy and everything. So, for me, it's what I expected. You know what I'm saying? In terms of like the sound of the album, I wouldn't expect it to sound any different. I can't imagine ODB, for example, rhyming over every beat that sound like Tikal or Cuban Links or something like that. That don't fit him. He needs some colorful production. And I think RZA always tries to cater to each clan member, you know what I'm saying, the beats that he made for them or help them pick out and select. So I think it fit what, the purpose of his style, man, but at that time, you're still looking at it like, okay, well, can this last? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is ODB a gimmick? Is he a one-hit wonder? Is he the damn Flavor Flav this thing, or the Far Heartbeats? Is he Eddie Kane Jr.? Is he Bobby Brown? Is he gonna tap out early? You know what I'm saying? We don't know that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so obviously a little bit of time go, and not to jump the gun, but one thing that happened that really put him in the forefront where people could really appreciate his brilliance is that Fantasy remix with Mariah Carey.
Yeah, well, I think even before that, the SWV Wu-Tang remix, because his verse on there, the way it comes in is like you would think, like, well, like you said, at that time you thinking, well, how is this gonna last? You know what I'm saying? Is he gonna burn out? But we could have never predicted that ODB on R&B remixes would be like the greatest thing we ever heard. Like you said, Fantasy with Mariah Carey was like, I can't believe how hot this is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but yeah, I agree. Go ahead, man.
No, that's true. So yeah, that SWV joint. So I'm not mistaken, was the SWV joint on Border Rim soundtrack?
Yep, it was.
So yeah, they all killed that. So you're right, ODB. Yeah, I mean, again, but that was still for some people. Well, it was in the clubs and stuff like that too. So that was a banger. And then you turn right around with maybe the biggest artist at that time, Mariah Carey, and you know, they put him on the remix. And of course, when they shot the video, they're not together on the video. You know, ODB somewhere else and Mariah somewhere else, and they kind of put it together. They did their own separate parts or what have you. But he brought that song to life, and it became a club banger. And you can still hear that song, you know, over 20 plus years later in clubs around the world. You know what I'm saying?
And look, if I'm not mistaken, especially when I start to think about them, especially that one, I believe Puff was involved with that connection.
I think so.
Putting No Dirty on there, because I believe you can hear Puff on Fantasy in the background, like, you know, doing what he do, talking over the track. Obviously, you can't hear as much as you hear ODB, but then that's another thing that, and maybe that's an episode that you know, that revisionist history that dudes like to have, and they like to separate things. And he's like, well, Bad Boy and Wu-Tang were like working together a lot. Like maybe Raekwon and Biggie didn't like each other, but you know, you had Meth on Biggie's album, and you had the joint with Mary J. Blige, you know what I'm saying, All That I Need joint. That was the Puff remix, the one that everybody likes, the one they got the video for. Yep. And then I believe the SW, I almost want to say, because also worked with Bad Boy. You know, some deal stuff. Maybe not artists featuring on the same thing, but I believe he was involved with that SWV joint, because remember, that was Puff's MO. You know, take this popular beat from here and put it on here, and then take whoever's hot, like the Wu, and put them on there. But that Fantasy joint, man, and look, Tone, maybe you know this, because I never really looked into it, and I know it was mentioned, but I don't know where it came from. ODB saying he grew up with Mariah Carey, because she said the same thing, but I was kind of like, are they just playing with us? Like,
you know, I always thought they were playing because, you know, ODB, you know, being the Jizzle and RZA's cousin, he grew up in like Fort Greene Projects in Brooklyn, if I'm not mistaken. So, so I'm not sure what a Mariah Carey thing came in, because I don't even think Mariah Carey's from New York. You know what I'm saying? But I could be totally wrong. Someone can fact check that and please correct us, and you know, in the comment section on YouTube or what have you. But I don't even believe she's from New York. So I think that was more or less they were playing around, because they did become friends. You know, I think she might have been a little leery of ODB at first, because he is ODB. But I think once she got to know him, they became friends. And even after his final jail stint, and he signed to Rockefeller, we'll get into all of that. She came to his press conference when he got out of jail. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know that. You know, when Dame Dash was there and Mariah Carey was there. You know what I'm saying? So they did form a relationship. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I think that was more of playing around. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and you know what's funny? Like you said, who would have thought that ODB's style would blend so well with R&B? Because again, now we know this now because obviously him enjoying like 80s R&B and 70s soul and all that. He turned around again, you know, on another song that's R&B-ish on his album with Baby I Got Your Money with Khalees.
Yeah.
And she was becoming a star at the time, and Pharrell put them together. You know what I'm saying? And it worked.
Yeah.
That
And look,
played on the radio, it played in the clubs.
exactly. And that's the crazy part. I think that's the part that, like, again, revisionist history, people like to take out of it. But ODB low key had a lot of club bangers, and probably more than the Wu, because obviously in the early 90s, boom bap could be party records. It didn't matter what it was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a lot of hip hop, straight up hip hop records that were party records. Around that time where you started to have the Bad Boys and the Rockefellers and all that coming up, and they started using, you know, like what sound like dance tracks. ODB was like having hits. Like, remember he had Superstar, Praz's only hit with him and Maya off the Bulwark soundtrack, that movie that nobody watched.
Oh, real quick, I'm glad you brought that up. You talking about Ghetto Superstar with Praz, right?
Ghetto Superstar, yeah.
So for anyone who like to just get some background on how that song actually happened, Praz was on Vlad TV, and Vlad was asking him about, you know, his first solo album, his first big hit and everything. So he was in the studio in California recording, and ODB and some other guys walked in his session, and ODB was intoxicated and thought he was in a New York studio. He's in California. He's that drunk.
Oh, wow.
And Praz is like, okay, I'm standing there talking to him. My first time meeting him, I don't know him. He's like, yo, what's that? Turn that up. He said, so he thinking to himself, okay, you know, I'll let him hear it, whatever, in my studio time, but okay. So then he said, ODB was like, well, let me jump on that. And so Praz like, now I never met him before. I know who he is, of course, but I never met him. He's like, okay, I'm thinking this guy want to go in the booth real quick and record this. I'll just delete that shit later. You know what I'm saying? That's what Praz said. He said, so ODB goes in there, records something. He said, okay, fast forward. Yes, we kept it because it ended up being very dope. ODB kind of did the one take. He was explaining his style. He was like, ODB was listening, and he would do something like, z, z. And he just kind of, he not saying anything. Watching him like, what does this do? He must be drunk. What is he doing? I hope he hurry up and get out of this so I can finish recording the song, man. You know what I'm saying? So he just like, he's doing all this stuff. He said, next thing you know, he's like, I'm ready. And Praz is like, the dude does the verse, but he does the verse backwards.
Oh, wow.
He's doing his ad libs, then he does the verse. You know what I'm saying? It was just kind of weird the way he was describing. He said he had never seen nothing like it before. He said, man, yo, genius, man. It was just a wild situation where it was totally unexpected. The dude walked in on my session. Next thing we know, we have a hit together.
You have a hit together. That's the crazy part.
That's wild, man. So yeah, anybody who want to see the full story, the full interview, you know, check out Praz from Fuji's on Vlad TV, man. It'll bug you out when you hear the story, man. But yeah, man. But that's ODB. And to your point, he had several. We've named about 4 club bangers from someone with a style like ODB, who actually, for listeners, understand something now. He didn't conform to none of these artists and these songs. He was ODB. He
was always ODB. Yeah.
He never tried to deviate from his drunken style. You know what I'm saying? He didn't. He rapped the same kind of style on all of these different R&B songs, and they worked because he had the energy. Energy is real, people. It's science. He had the energy to match with anybody in the room. It worked. And that's the sign of a special artist, regardless of the genre. You can put them in any category. You got ODB with XWB. You got ODB with Praz from the Fugees. You got ODB with Mariah Carey. You know, you got ODB with all these different artists with Khalees, and it still worked. Then he could turn around and get back on the Wu-Tang Forever and do his own song, Dog Shit, or he can be on Reunited. Or he can just talk on them again on Triumph, and it sets the tone for Triumph. You know? So after his stint of R&B hits, he goes right back to Wu-Tang and doesn't miss a beat, man.
Yeah, he kind of was like like we say, you know, a spirit of the group. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though each member was totally different in their style and their approach as a person, he kind of colored the group. You know what I'm saying? He kind of brought a little bit more to it. Because even in later Wu-Tang albums where, you know, unfortunately, where he had passed away, or even in cases where he was locked up, you feel like it's not the same because you don't have the random old dirty song, skit, mention, whatever it may be. It was kind of like it wasn't complete without him. But Tone, like, so when you look at all that success as with the Wu, with his features, with his first album having hits, but at the same time, ODB is having a lot of trouble personally with substance abuse and all of that, and getting locked up and kind of missing out on other opportunities. What do you think? I mean, we know, but what do you think? What do you think the problem was for him at that time when he clearly has huge success written all over his career at this point?
Unfortunately, there's two things I like to say, and for people that actually know me, if they listen to this podcast and know me personally, they know that I've been in behavioral health for 20 years, mental health, substance abuse, developmental disabilities, etc. ODB, there was rumors that at some point he did get diagnosed with a mental illness, schizophrenia. That was a rumor. I can't confirm this. Do I feel like with his behavior, he had some mental illness? Yes. Also, we know some substance abuse as well. So I think that a lot of times, man, with money comes access. I think that, because of him having this addiction, if he's not a star with money, he's kind of like the guy at the 7-Eleven or the bodega bumming off trying to get a 40 ounce. He's going to be doing some of that, even if he was a regular Joe Schmo working at UPS. He just happened to be someone who talent and affiliation took him to a superstar level where he could have more money at some point to buy more alcohol, to buy more drugs, and of course, if you have a habit, if you have the money to support that habit, you can go all out. And unfortunately, him being an addict is constant. It's a lifelong situation. So it's a constant battle with those demons, man. And so he fought those demons for years. He would go into some type of rehab treatment. He would come out. Then that final time when he was in Clinton and went to prison, that totally changed the trajectory of his life, because they put him in a section with murderers and everything. And because he's ODB, there's been record that people were jumping on him. He got like stabbed. He got like beat up a couple of times because people would jump on him. Like, he's by himself, of course. He was paranoid. They say that he could barely sleep. You know what I'm saying? So then when he first got released, of course, he on parole. He got to get clean. He couldn't do nothing but sleep, and sleep is a part of being depressed also. You know what I'm saying? When he got out, man. So he was going through all of that. At the same time, he had 6 different baby mothers applying pressure on him to be a father and a financial caregiver to those kids, because ODB had 13 kids. You know what I'm saying? So you mix that in with the addiction and the sporadic behavior. They can't keep him on tour. He's missing dates. He's missing time in the studio, which is that you can see doing Forever. He's not on Forever a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? And that was already the beginning and the end right there. You know what I'm saying? So, those personal demons just unfortunately caught up to him. And I think another sad part about that is ODB was going to be even larger than he was.
Yeah, because like we mentioned earlier, it wasn't something that record execs or A&Rs could predict about him, because none of them could have predicted he would sound so great on these R&B records and get paired with somebody like Mariah Carey, which seemed completely unlikely, and have a huge hit. You know what I'm saying? A song that still gets airplay to this day.
And
It's
you know
one
what?
of the main reasons why, you know, people still remember ODB because of the character he was and how he was able to, you know, not really have a set formula in order to make hits. He wasn't making hits. He was just loving music. So I could see how he would be a hot commodity for,
Yeah,
you know, for Wu-Tang or anybody outside of that.
I think that he absolutely, in my heart, I believe ODB had 2 or 3 more features with some huge R&B stars that would have really blew up, man. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Whether it was doing the Janet Jackson Velvet Rope time or just whatever the case may be, I just feel like he would have been sought after if he could have got himself together, got cleaned up some. I feel like so many other doors would have opened up, even with paraphernalia, even a cartoon, all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think that his talent would have been endless because he had this magnetic personality, but it was always kind of it was overshadowed by his addictions and his other situations mentally that had his behavior so sporadic in different places in his life. You know what I'm saying? So unfortunately, I just think that the best was still yet to come, man. And you know, we didn't get a chance to see that kind of destiny fulfilled, man. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
very, very unfortunate.
And one thing to note, even though I was in college around that time, and you know, obviously I would come home around the holidays and stuff like that, and I would see ODB in downtown Brooklyn frequently, and I'm not talking about getting mobbed by fans. It's just you just turn over while you shopping, like, oh, Old Dirty Bastard's in here by himself, or Old Dirty Bastard's just standing on that corner right there. I don't know what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? He out here. There's no security. There's no other Wu members. There's nothing. He's just out here. And I
You know
think
what? Yeah.
there was a part of him that enjoyed or maybe missed being regular. You know what I'm saying? Just being a regular Joe Schmo in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I think so, man. Some of that could be true. Also, during that time, he had a moment where he kind of felt betrayed by the Wu-Tang when he got locked up. Uh, you know, people were not coming to see him. I think Meth did call him before or something like that. He was very shocked. But what he told his manager, and if anyone want to watch the ODB had a MTV documentary way back in 2004, he stated that his 2 years in Clinton and what have you, nobody from Wu-Tang came to see him. You know what I'm saying? His mother also echoed those same sentiments. So there was a part of him that was very, very upset. So when he got out, when Dame Dash signed him to Rockefeller, you know, things of that nature, there was still an issue with RZA. Two things happened. On one end, RZA's brother Divine, I believe his name is, called
Yeah.
ODB. And I'm like, well, one of the stipulations, man, for to get you out this contract is you're in the hole for 10 grand. ODB's on the phone with him, like, dude, I don't even have 10 grand. I just got out of damn prison. You know what I'm saying? So then like Divine kind of hung up on him. So RZA went to see ODB and Dame Dash and ODB's manager, you know, and Dame was kind of like, look, man, you know, they kind of had a little, you can kind of hear the conversation on camera. And Dame was kind of like, well, you know, I'm not paying nobody nothing but ODB. If however he want to handle that with everyone else, it's up to him. You know what I'm saying? So after the meeting, RZA agreed to let ODB out his contract if he could produce like 3 songs on the album, on his new album. So he was working on a new album. He did record a few songs with the RZA, you know what I'm saying? And he also was sought out again by Pharrell during this time. The Neptunes had a new album about to come out. And so they brought him in the studio to do this song called Pop Shit. You know what I'm saying? You can watch the recording of that song, a piece of it on YouTube. And, you know, this is his first time like kind of recording to get out the prison. And he was asking Pharrell for some guidance. And Pharrell said, man, just be you. And then he gave him like one little line to run with. And when ODB started, everybody in that studio lit up, man. And Pharrell was so excited because Pharrell knew what's inside of ODB, that genius in him of creativity, man. And it just kind of showed that after that song, working on a new ODB album with Rockefeller, I really believe he was going to be on his way. You still had all those Rockefeller in-house producers. Dame Dash gonna have you access to everything you need. And unfortunately, man, everything fell apart to the point where they eventually had to let his contract go. And then, of course, shortly after that, you know what I'm saying, in the RZA studio, ODB collapsed, and that was the end.
Yeah, it's sad when you think about it, because you know he had the debut which was huge for him and led to, you know, a lot of features, and then he had, you know, his second album did what it did.
It was gold.
And exactly, and it was a thing where you could tell he was on a cusp of being much bigger, and Rockefeller was huge at the time. So
yeah,
for him to sign with them, it's like, okay, well now, you know, he can really harness that commercial success he's been having and go further with it. And actually, the album he was working on for Rockefeller is available online. I think it was released, or maybe just available online. It's called a Sun Unique. Wait, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's available. I think this digital download. It was never. I don't think it ever hit the stores.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if it was a rush thing after he passed away, because it came out, I think, a year or two after he passed away. And you know how that goes, kind of like the big pun. It's like that big pun, yeah, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I don't know the finishing touches. It's what ODB would have wanted.
Yeah, like as an album, it's not. Because I remember, like, I was heavy on the mixtape side, and a lot of those songs were leaking. And the draw was the fact that this was the songs that was going to be on the Rockefeller release. But when they put it together, it just was, you could tell they just took those records and put them together. There was no rhyme or reason to it. Not that a ODB project has to have that, but it kind of does. You know what I'm saying? When you listen to his first two albums, you could tell. Now, you know, and again, it's unfortunate that it played out that way, but we would be remiss if we didn't say one of his greatest moments of all time, probably the thing that adored him to people even outside of hip hop, and probably the number one reason why a lot of people outside of hip hop like Cardi B. When ODB was at the Grammys and Wu-Tang didn't win, and ODB felt, and he wasn't even disrespectful. Like Kanye was disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? He was kind of disrespectful. And he was kind of riding the coattails of what ODB had already did. But when ODB is dressed up all nice for the Grammys and the Wu don't win, and he feels compelled and he says, yo, Wu-Tang is for the kids.
Yeah, man.
You gotta love that, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and look, and he said, man, you know what's funny? He said, yo, you know, I like Puff them good, but Wu-Tang for the children.
Yeah,
you know
right.
So he wasn't with Puff. It was unbelievable because the guy behind was kind of like, oh my God, let me get this guy on stage. And when they showed people in the audience, they were like, oh my God, because he just walked up there. You know what I'm saying? Like, he literally walked up there and he was like, I got these new clothes because I really thought we was going to win. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I guess the funny part was he wasn't like disrespectful in that regard, and he wasn't like rowdy. It was actually very sincere. He was really saying, I thought we was going to win, dog. So I just want to come up here and acknowledge I got these new clothes because I thought we was going to win. Y'all pay a lot of money for these clothes. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a classic moment, man. It was just, you know, it was really, to me, ODB being ODB, man. And, you know, we lose him, man. But let me say this real quick. You know, when Raekwon did Only Built for Cuban Links 2 and did that dedication song, Ason Jones or whatever, you know, and then, you know, the hook or what have you was him talking. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, at one point he was just like, man, you know, Wu-Tang, we keep it real. And then he's like, man, you know, I can't change my style because people ain't gonna like that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he was just kind of talking. Each hook was him talking, man. And I really enjoyed that song, man. And, you know, earlier today, man, I was listening to the song, the other dedication song that the whole Wu-Tang did called Life Changes on 8 Diagrams, man. And that song kind of a tearjerker, man. You know what I'm saying? I feel like all the members might have had their reasons for not being around ODB doing a prison time or some other time, because people have to understand, like I said, I do this for a living. When someone has real serious substance abuse issues and some kind of psychological things going on, it's very hard to deal with them. It's hard to reason with them. It's hard to do a lot of stuff as far as interacting with them. And maybe some of those guys did try and things of that nature. We don't know all the stories behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying? But when they did that, Life Changes, for me, it felt like everyone's verse, you know what I'm saying, was very sincere, man. And I feel like they in their heart they understand what he meant to their foundation, man.
Yeah, and it's again, I sometimes think about like ODB is perfect for the social media reality TV generation. You know what I'm saying? Because of the type of person he was, the type of character he was. Obviously, he would have had some hits beyond what was out there. It's unfortunate that it happened that way, but his legend lives on through his music, through the documentary for Showtime, and through this series. Even though they haven't really dived deep into Old Dirty as a character on the series, as far as the episodes I've seen so far, he stands out, man. Even the actor stands out because we know, oh, that's Old Dirty. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But a legend in the game. What are y'all thoughts about ODB, Old Dirty Bastard? You know what I'm saying? When you first saw him, you know what I'm saying? Did you buy the first album? Maybe you were younger and maybe you weren't around and maybe you heard of him. What are your thoughts on Old Dirty Bastard? Did you feel the way me and Tone felt when we first saw him? You know what I'm saying? Did it seem kind of strange, or do you gravitate towards him because he's different? You leave your comments in the comment section below. We'd love to know what you guys think about that. Tone, you want to say something?
Just a quick thought. The old thing in the hood, what we always do is pour out a little liquor, man. So just real quick, you know what I'm saying? Going back to that Life Changes from 8 diagram, Method Man said something like, I'm going to swallow this whole bottle for Old Dirty. Man, it hurt me when young brothers go early. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like pouring out a little liquor, man. So I wanted to say that little line real quick. That's what Milf said, you know what I'm saying, in regard to ODB, man. So, rest in peace to ODB, man. It's like pour out a little liquor for him, dog.
No doubt, man. Rest in peace, ODB, Old Dirty Bastard. Now we're going to get to the point where we recommend to you, beyond all the stuff we already mentioned, an album or maybe even a mixtape that you should go back and listen to. And my recommendation for this week is the sophomore album, There Is a Dark Side, out of the year 1994. Now, the reason why I chose this, first of all, I was a huge Redman fan back then. Huge. Like, I was starting to declare him as my favorite rapper at the time because, for one, as a youngin' and even as a grown man now, like, if I was born in another time in the 70s, I would be heavy into funk music because I love it now. You know what I'm saying? I loved it back then as a kid. It was one of the reasons why I loved a lot of early West Coast hip hop, because they sampled a lot of funk. And Redman was like East Coast version of that. And There's the Dark Side is funk from the beginning to end. Eric Sermon, the funk he put on that beat, that is a dirty, grimy sounding album. And I loved it. I loved it at the time. But one of the reasons why I'm recommending it is because Redman doesn't love it. And I remember when he said that recently, and I was like, what? Like, I couldn't believe it. Man, and I get why he doesn't like it. It's not that he dislikes it because he feels like it wasn't a good album. He was just in a dark place, no pun intended, in his life. Something that he really didn't elaborate on, which made me think there was a lot of things going on in his life that, just aren't good, and that album reminds him of that. But musically, the album is bananas, you know what I'm saying? And again, when you're thinking about funk samples and putting it in a sound system in your car in your house or some headphones with some real heavy bass, man, it is disgusting how dope it is. Some of my favorite tracks off this joint, a million and one Buddha spots, Rockefeller,
Yep.
original remix, Island, because I love when Redman just does the different voices. Can't Wait, ridiculous.
Yeah.
What It Looked Like was another fun one. Superman Lover Part 2, sequel to his ongoing story, similar to the Jane series and EPMD. We Run New York with Hurricane G, and Tonight's the Night remix.
Ooh.
Just some of my favorite joints off of there. And this album is dark. It sounds dark. I mean, the album cover even mimics Funkadelic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The Parliament, and that's what I loved about it. But it wasn't. But it was hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So it was just one of them joints where I listened to it the other day. Like periodically, I go back to it, but I listened to it the other day, and when I was in the gym, as soon as it starts, even the intro beat, you just sitting there like, this album is just funky, you know. What I'm saying? So I love it. You know, one of my favorite albums of all time. Redman Day is a Dark Side out of 1994. Tone, your thoughts on that album, and what's your recommendation for this week?
Well, you know, just like you, I was huge Redman fan. Still, you know, I still love Redman. Redman at one point was one of the rawest MCs in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So that's just kind of what it was. Anyone from my era will tell you. At one point, he was right there at the top with the greats. And There's a Dark Side is dope. I really like Can't Wait. I still watch the video on YouTube to this day. But what oddly enough, probably my favorite song on there outside of the Funkarama remix is We Run New York. You know what I'm saying? Like it is gritty, grimy. I just love, I love the way he rhymed. Hurricane G rhymed on We Run New York, man. And I was actually listening to that joint just a couple of weeks ago, man. Every night that I go to that song off that album, believe it or not, outside of Can't Wait. But yeah, man, dope album from Redman. I thought it was at least 4 mics, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, probably at the time I might have thought it was even better than that. But I mean, it's definitely one of his best albums. What can you say, man? It's just one of those times in hip hop when a lot of dope albums was coming out, and he stood right there amongst the best with this album. You know what I'm saying? And then he followed that up with, you know, with something even better than me. So just shout out to Redman, man. It's a dope album. My recommendation, man, I'm so let down by this guy at this point. So my recommendation is 1999 Shaheem's third album called Manchild. You know, and I had such big expectations for Shaheem because I remember, of course, his first debut album, The Rugged Child, when he was about 13 years old, and he on stage with Biggie and Pac and Big Daddy Kane and all that, you know, and then he ended up doing The Lost Generation in '96, and that's an amazing album. And you know, he's still a young dude, but right before that, a couple years before that, he on TLC Waterfalls video. You know, he was just a handsome young kid, and he could have just really been large on TV. He was getting people wanting him in videos and stuff like that, and you know, but he is a street kid. You know what I'm saying? As he got older, he started living his rhymes out. You know, by the time Manchild came out, he had already gotten like jumped and sliced up at a club and all of this kind of stuff. And, you know, it was just kind of going into that direction for Shaheem, man. But, you know, that album he had a song on there, I Declare War, very dope. Of course, he had a joint called Furious Anger with Big L that I still listen to this day. And he had Samuel Jackson on the hook. You know what I'm saying? He had, of course, the Manchild title track that was dope. I thought the production was pretty dope. You know, I was just expecting so much more from Shaheem, man. And then, you know, he stayed in the streets. And then, of course, unfortunately, a couple of years ago, he got caught up in a vehicular manslaughter, and they threw some time on for some other charges. And, man, if I'm not mistaken, man, he got 14 years for the vehicular manslaughter, and got like 7 more for, like, I think drugs and gun possession and stuff. It's all New York laws, man. You know, and so I'm thinking that Shaheem is about, I'm 44. Shaheem is probably about 40, and he has like 21 years. Well, he probably got like 16 more to go. You know what I'm saying? So he's done, and it's just, he could have been a really big star by the time this man-child era started for him, and he just really couldn't stay out his own way, man. So check that man-child out, man. Veg, did you ever hear that man-child album? What you think about Shaheem, dog?
Yo, first heard On and On. I was like, yo, Staten Island just pumping out like the dope MCs. Now they got a kid, you know what I'm saying? Just on from the Woo, you know what I'm saying? The Woo just got everything. They got old men, they got everything. Dreddy Kruger, they got everything. But yeah, man, I thought he was dope for his age, man. I was highly anticipating his album, and I think somewhere within his career, I fell off like checking for him because it was so sporadic. It was like it was all this energy behind his debut, and then it took a while before the next album came out, and hip hop had kind of changed a little bit. And my attention span, and I say this a lot with a lot of albums happening from like 95 to maybe 99, where there was a lot of hip hop coming out. And if you had the buzz early on, but you were still releasing in like the late 90s, not everybody heard you, and your joint could have been dope. So by the time he released Man-Child, I wasn't even checking for him at all. So I've never heard the album. But the title of the album caught my attention because for those who don't know, that used to be my rap name from like 1994 to like 1999. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like most people who knew me when I was rapping, my name was Man-Child. So when I saw that, I was like, yo, but that was just the title of the album. But the thing with Shaheem is he always had a dope voice, always the flow. So I'm gonna check it out because I can only imagine that it got to be dope. You know what I'm saying? So it is dope, man. Just real quick, for people who haven't read Jay-Z's Decoded book, he talked about trying to get Shaheem for coming of age on Reasonable Doubt. You know what I'm saying? And Shaheem talked about this in a video on YouTube, a couple years ago before he got locked up, and he's like, "Wow, I found that out, but nobody told me until after the fact. They couldn't. The rumor was they couldn't get in contact with him, but Memphis Bleak at the time wasn't a rapper. It was just Jay little homie from down the hallway. You know what I'm saying? So, Jay's sister was cool with Bleak's mom. They're in the same project building, but yeah, man. Jay-Z was trying to get Shaheem on coming of age because he knew Shaheem, and of course Shaheem had already been in the mix up there in New York from a little shorty. You know what I'm saying? So so that's what it is, man. And for those who don't know, Shaheem, Jay-Z, and ODB was on that Big Daddy Kane song "Show and Prove" that we mentioned earlier. We were talking about ODB. So definitely, man. So there's two dope albums y'all could go back and listen to. Redman's There's a Dark Side out of 1994 and Shaheem's Man-Child out of 1999. Real hip hop for you. Two different albums, both gritty and bars. That's all you're going to get. But that's going to do it for us for this week. Obviously, you can subscribe to this show right here on YouTube on the B-Roll Network. Hit the like button if you like the show, and more importantly, share with who enjoy this kind of content. If you can't really watch the video all the time, and maybe if it was a podcast, I would check it out. Well, guess what? It is a podcast. It's an audio podcast as well. All you have to do is search wherever you listen to podcasts, whether it's Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, whatever. Type in the words Hip Hop Now Podcast. And within that same feed, you'll see That Time in Hip Hop. Hit that subscribe button, you get locked in. And if all of that sounds like a lot, just visit intothedome.com, where not only can you get the audio version or the video version of this very podcast, but you also get articles about musical legends, whether it's hip hop, soul, R&B, whatever. written by the homie Tony of IntoTheDome.com. I mean, we got content for days. This is what we do. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But be good and go out and support real hip hop. All right? Peace.
Drop it on the random.